Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Sociolinguistics 2. I name it Sociolinguistics 2 to help you remember the topic, or if you have seen this but you haven't seen Sociolinguistics 1, then the number will navigate you to find what part of sociolinguistics that you haven't seen and studies. Well, just want to keep reminding you all, if you haven't subscribed this channel, please help me to do it. Okay? Don't forget to give me like if you think that this channel helps you broaden your horizon and understanding, and write your comment. It's very important though to improve the quality of the content of my channel. Again, thank you very much for your help to always watch my videos. Thank you. Well, today we will talk about another part of sociolinguistics by Janet Holmes. At this time, we will talk about multilingual speech communities. This entails domains, setting, Diglossia, Polyglossia, Polyglossia, code switching, and lexical borrowing. One thing that you need to keep in mind that this channel won't give you a great detail of information about this topic. You need to read relevant literatures to help you understand it comprehensively. This video will just provide you with some key ideas of the topic. Well, let's talk about domains. A domain of language involves typical interaction between typical participants in typical settings about a typical topic. Domains of language use, it's a term popularized by an American linguist, Joshua Fishman. For example of these domains are family, friendship, religion, education, and employment. For this, you with your friends, or you with your teacher, you can talk about other domains in the class. There is an intriguing point when we start thinking of our own way in exploring our own community. Okay? Now, let's talk about setting. Setting is the physical situation or the typical place where speech interaction occur, a code choice. Sometimes we call it like that. Settings such as home, church, mosque, school, office, and so on. What are the settings that you can come up with while you are watching this video? This part will help your brain to wander around and think of other simple settings that you usually get involved in. Okay? Try that. Now, let's talk about Diglossia. It's a situation in which two distinct varieties of language are spoken within the same speech community. Communities, rather, in which two languages or language varieties are used, with one being a high variety for formal situation and prestige, and allow variety for informal situation, like where everyday conversation, that we usually call it also everyday conversation, what I mean. And here are crucial features of Diglossia. Two distinct varieties of the same language are used in the community, with one regarded as a high, or sometimes we symbolize it with H, a high variety, and the other as low, L, variety. Each variety is used for quite distinct function. So H and L complement each other. No one uses the H variety in everyday conversation, right? For example, the standard classical Arabic language is the high variety in Arab countries, and it is used for writing and for formal functions. But vernacular or colloquial Arabic is the low variety used for informal speech situations. Right? It's quite complex, right? Now, I want you to talk about Diglossia in your own community. You can begin with mentioning the name of the community and how they communicate to each other on a normal daily basis, and start jotting down the examples before you talk about it seriously. Okay, again, I urge you to try it. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, I think so. If you try, yeah, okay. Now we're going to talk about polyglossia. So polyglossia refers to the existence of several languages in the same society or geographic area. An example might be the presence of Spanish, English, and Native American languages in the American Southwest. Another might be the presence of French, Italian, German, and Romance in certain areas of Switzerland. Basically, polyglossia situations involve two contrasting varieties, high and low, but in general it refers to communities that regularly use more than two languages. Do you have this in your community? If you do, you can share it to your friends and talk about it. And so do not forget to exchange ideas and examples. Because you know, the more you exchange ideas, the more you understand and you see how actually the real example within our community. Now, we're going to talk about code switching. So, code switching is a linguistic phenomenon which occurs in multilingual speech communities. The terms describe the process in which a communicatively competent multilingual speaker alternates or switches, usually between two languages or language varieties or codes during the same conversation. It's to move from one code, language, dialect, or style to another during speech for a number of reasons, such as to signal solidarity. So when people do code switching, sometimes they do it for signaling solidarity, to reflect one's ethnic identity, to show off. Some people, they do it to show off, to hide some information from the third party, to achieve a better explanation of a certain concept to coverage or reduce social distance with the hearer, to diverge or increase social distance, or probably to impress and persuade the audience. We usually call this metaphorical code switching. Okay, so actually there's a lot of reason why people they do code switching. Okay. I do code switching in my daily conversation. There are so many reasons why I do it. One of them is, you must know that, to impress and persuade the audience, as I have explained it in the preceding slide, like to persuade, to impress people, to entertain people. Okay. Well, at the end of our talk today, I'll discuss lexical borrowing. Okay, just very brief. In linguistics, borrowing, it's also known as lexical borrowing. It's the process by which a word from one language is adapted for use in another. The word that is borrowed is called a borrowing, a borrowed word, or a loan word. It results from the lack of vocabulary, and it involves borrowing single words, mainly nouns. When speaking a second language, people will often use a term from their first language because they don't know the appropriate word in their second language. They also may borrow words from another language to express a concept or describe an object for which there is no obvious word available in the language they are using. Code switching involves a choice between the words of two languages or varieties, but lexical borrowing is resulted from the lack of vocabulary. Well, do you think you do this? I do this. Okay. Sometimes, when I don't understand something, then I try to think. Sometimes if it is easy for me to think about it in English, then I can express it in English. But when I am talking in English, but I don't know it, but I know the words in Bahasa Indonesia, then I can just use Bahasa Indonesia. Okay? Make sure that when you address the word that you borrow to the hearer, make sure that the hearer can understand. Because the aim of communication is to help both speakers, I mean the speaker and the listener, better understand what they are talking about, not creating any confusion. Okay? Well, that's all for now. See you in the next video. Bye.